Would you like to make a color wheel like this one? Well, keep watching because we're about to make one together. And stay tuned till the end because we'll talk about the concepts that we'll learn in the process.
Hey, Naomi here.
Hi, I'm Casey.
Today we're getting our paints out.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
Woohoo! So we're going to be testing out all the theories we've been talking about.
Yes, by making a color wheel.
A color wheel. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have a place to store all the experiments that we do so that we can refer to them later.
Okay, awesome. That sounds fun.
Let's get started.
Okay, let's do it.
Before we can make the color wheel, we're going to draw it. And before we can draw the color wheel, we need to get the supplies out. So hopefully you've watched the last video in this series. Put a link in the description to that last video because it will have all the supplies you need for today. Now in that video, I forgot to say, was you need some kind of plate that fits your canvas, and you need a pencil. And so whatever kind of canvas you use, whether it's stretch canvas or board or paper, this is canvas paper that has been taped down to this board so it's a nice firm surface. All right, so Casey's gonna get started by tracing around the plate. You wanna choose a plate that fits inside your canvas. And now think of this as a clock and put a little tiny mark at the 12 o'clock and at the 6 o'clock.
Maybe I can just do, is it
Oh,
okay
yeah,
if I do
yeah,
this?
so you can just do that. Draw a line through 12 o'clock.
Do we
and
feel
6
like
o'clock.
that's about even?
And now make one at 3 and 9 o'clock.
Because you're going to have a 1 and a 2.
Yes.
Right? So it'd be like 1, or yeah,
Yep,
1,
1, 2,
2.
and then 4. And now connect the ones that are across from each other. And so we're gonna start making a place for our tube color. So yeah, start right there at number 1 and draw just like a shape that looks like a tube of paint, kind of like a rectangle, thank you, yeah. And then skip a spot and then make the next one another rectangle.
Does it matter if it's in the circle?
No.
Or it can be outside the circle? Like
No,
that's
yep.
okay, that's in that little
That's
bit?
just
okay.
fine, yeah.
And then
And
here?
then another one. Put red, orange right there.
Orange.
Each color has a first and a last name. In that one, put the color that has the same last name. So, orange.
Okay.
So we have a yellow orange.
Yellow. Okay.
And then now put the name with the same first name. So yellow, green.
Yellow, green. Okay.
And now same last name over
Blue,
there.
green.
Blue, green.
Okay.
And now same first name.
So blue, violet.
Yeah. And now same last name.
Red, violet.
Red violet. Now, if we mix the two with the same first name of red, what do you?
Red.
You'll get just plain red.
Just plain red.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now that's a primary color. So come up with a shape that reminds you of a primary color.
Okay.
That's a good one. Red. Same with yellow. The
Between
two
these
yellows
two.
mixed will make just plain yellow. So that's another primary color.
Mm-hmm.
And now the two blues mixed will make
A blue.
a blue, so make a shape there. Two with the same last name will make a secondary.
So this will be violet then.
Yes, so make some kind of shape that reminds you of a secondary.
Okay.
That's we haven't used yet, so
A different shape?
yeah, that not the tube shape
Oh,
and not the
so
primary
we'll do
shape,
the
so make a
flower.
different one. And that one would be violet.
Violet.
Yes. And now here's a spot. What would go there?
Orange.
Yeah. And
Okay.
one more spot. You
And
see?
then down here's green.
Yep. Now we've got all our 12 spots filled in.
Perfect.
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
what happens if we mix all the tubes of colors together? Remember when we predicted that?
All of that would be black.
Yeah, so let's experiment with that. And we want to make a spot for that one. Make a circle right there in the middle.
Just kind of like,
Maybe about a 50-cent piece size.
oops, a little bigger than that, but
That's
okay.
great. Yeah. So that's going to be our experiment to see complete black or no.
Okay.
Okay. And now, between the black and the violet, let's make 2 circles here along that line. Because remember I said there's different ways you can make
Yes.
each secondary by which you mix it with.
Yes.
And so go down behind each secondary and make 2 more circles.
Those are secondaries.
Yep.
2.
Now under each other one, put 1 circle because we want to show you how you can dull any color you want. And we'll do an experiment with that. See what a dull color looks like for each kind.
Got it.
We're ready to go.
Perfect.
You want to have something protecting your table. You want to have old clothes on. Look at this. Woohoo. If you do get it on something you didn't want to, it does wash off. So this, think of this as oil
Okay.
with just color balls inside of the oil. So if you take anything that cuts oil,
Like a dish soap.
dish soap will
Okay.
work great.
Okay.
Or laundry soap even.
Okay.
And just scrub it on that area just to make sure you cut all that oil and then throw it in the wash.
Okay.
And well, you ready?
Okay. I'm
We
ready.
are ready to paint.
Okay.
We are going to lay our colors out on the palette and we want to lay them in related order. I like to start yellow on the left because that one is the one that gets the muddiest if it interrupts with other colors. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I like to start with cadmium yellow, the yellow green. So I'm going to put a squirt here on the upper left corner.
This is exciting, actually getting the paint out. This is where I would get a little nervous. I'm so glad we have this guidance.
Yeah, that's true. You know, sometimes you just need to
Just start.
just start. Jump over the fear, move past it. All our colors are laid out. The color that's missing is white, and we are going to talk about white next week.
Okay.
I've set out all 6 of our colors, 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues. Let's talk about yellow first. Last time we talked about how yellow can either tend toward the green or toward the orange. And here we have what it looks like. So here is a yellow that tends towards the green. You can kind of see it's a little greenish. And this one you can kind of see it's a little bit orangish. But they each have a little of the opposite in them too. So here's the different reds. Cadmium red has a higher orange than purple. It's better at making orange. And this one is better at making purple. You can kind of see that, right?
Yep.
This is called cadmium red if you buy it in the tube, but I've labeled it red orange just to make it easy for mixing up. And the blue that goes to the violet would be the French ultramarine blue, and the purple's a little higher. Here is cerulean blue, and here the green is a little bit higher. If your brush is completely dry, you want to wet it a little bit with solvent just to activate the fibers, and then wipe it off again. And then get a little bit of this lemon yellow or yellow green, and we'll put it right here where the tube color is of that. And we'll rinse our brush. Now we'll get in the cadmium yellow, and then cadmium red. We'll do the primaries, so we'll mix the 2 yellows together to get this middle yellow, and mix the 2 reds together to get the middle red, and same with the blue. So you kind of have to just play back and forth, comparing till you get them that looks kind of halfway in between. That still is looking too orangey, I think. Is that looking halfway?
It's getting there.
I think it needs a little more of the lemon. I bet that's halfway.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's okay to have a little extra there because we'll be using that to mix later on. It's picking a little of the pencil up. We could have drawn it with a permanent marker or something too. If you're watching at home, use a permanent marker. So we'll just keep mixing back and forth till we get halfway in between. Now let's make some blue. When their last names are the same, they will make a nice bright secondary.
Okay.
So the yellow orange is this one and the red orange is this one.
So as much equal parts as possible.
Yes, except
Or-
sometimes one color can have a strong tinting strength.
Yeah, so equal tint.
Now we'll do violet.
Okay.
So red violet mixed with blue violet. This tends to be really dark. And that can be useful. It can replace black. See how dark that is?
I would have thought that was black if I wouldn't have known. Watched you mix the two.
Yeah. Except on the edge. When it gets thin,
Yep.
that's when you can see the
see it,
color.
yep.
Yeah. So for green, we'll take yellow green, which is on the end here. We'll put it over on this side, and then blue green on this end here. So if this were arranged in a circle, those would be close together. I wanted to show you other ways of mixing a secondary color because you maybe don't want the brightest orange, maybe you want a less bright orange, and there's other ways to make orange. We have several different tubes of red and yellow. So we mixed the two that were closest together, but what happens if we mix the two that are farthest apart? It's not too dull, but this one is brighter than this one
Yep.
by a little bit.
Yep.
Sometimes you want the bright one and sometimes you want the dull one. You could also make orange by mixing this yellow that makes a good orange with this red that doesn't.
Okay.
So let's do that quick. A lot of it depends on proportion also.
Right. What we're learning is the possibilities are endless, that's for sure.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Okay, so here's this orange that we made with lemon yellow, green yellow, mixed with red orange. So that's this one here. 200 people could mix this color wheel, and we'll all get slightly different results because of that proportion mixing, right?
Yeah, how much we gather and add into mixing.
Exactly. So each color wheel is pretty much an original. Anyway, and that's all okay, right? It's,
Yes.
We're all individuals, just like people are. Paintings are too, and colors are too, and it's all okay. We just. Oh, really? I don't know about you, but it's time for a brain break. When I need a brain break, I like to check in with my studio assistant and see what he thinks about it. What do you think about our color wheel? Oh, you like it? Oh, that's good. Are you saying get back to work? Are you telling me to get back to work? All right, we'll get back to work. Good. Okay, so now we're on to purple. So that was the different kinds of oranges. Let's look at the different ways we can make violet. We already mixed these two. Now let's try mixing the too far one. Oh, not that one, but red orange mixed with blue green. So here we have the outside red, the outside blue. Okay, if that's getting too much, then you end up using up too much of your paint. So then I just like to split it in half or take some of it out over here, and then you will need a little blue to make a difference. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, that we're not doing the whole thing.
Yeah, you can save a little paint. Let's mix this one with this one. So this blue-green with red-violet. That has a nice,
Wow, it's really pretty.
yeah, very saturated. It's
really
almost more
pretty.
saturated than the main one. So let's put it up towards the top because this is saturated.
Do they typically dry differently? Like once they dry, do they look
Oh, right.
different?
Not oil paints.
No?
So watercolor and acrylic and gouache do, because they're water media, and when the water evaporates out, they have a slight color shift to them. But the oils actually don't evaporate out. They form a chemical bond, like an oxidation reaction, and they just kind of freeze in place and stay the same color pretty much. So that's a nice thing about oil paint, is there's no color shift to it. And acrylic isn't too bad. It doesn't shift too much. Okay, so where was I? I was gonna make red orange. Oh, this is kind of a duller one, I can tell already. They both kind of do that burnt orange looking thing. Kind of brown
Almost a
looking.
little rustic.
Yeah, like brownie. Like a barn red almost. It's kind of fun to play with paint.
I'm learning a lot by watching you mix them together, even though you keep tweaking it. It
Yeah, to see what it-
still shows what it does once you do that.
Okay, now we're on to greens. So we mixed the two closest, or the two best ones. Now let's make the two worst ones. So here's this yellow orange, and here's this blue violet. I think I'm gonna need more yellow orange. Cadmium yellow deep. We're making
greens,
green,
the weak
and we're
above.
making the dark green, or the neutralized
Yeah.
one. And there we just did it. It
Yes.
looks army green.
Yeah, it does.
Where were we? We mixed these two. Now let's mix this yellow with the blue that makes a good green and see what happens. So when we mix green, think in terms of trees, vegetation, because it's good to have a bunch of greens up your sleeve, because there's so many out there that you have to try and vary them. Otherwise your painting looks...
Yeah, it just looks like one blob probably.
Okay, so that was cadmium yellow deep with cerulean blue.
Okay.
So now we're gonna mix cadmium lemon with this blue. Okay, so now we have all our secondaries mixed all the different ways. Now let's try neutrals. But before we go into all these other neutralized, like halfway neutrals, let's mix the full neutral.
Okay.
So to do that, let's take a little bit of every single color. Try and get kind of equal proportions. It never comes out right at first, and you have to adjust. We'll see which way it kind of tends towards, because it usually bends a certain way. This is kind of looking orangey to me, reddy orangey. So that means we need blue.
Every time you add a little bit more, it just get a little darker.
Yeah,
Yeah. Starting to lose that. A little
The
more of that
brownness?
brown now. Yep.
now it's becoming black. I think it could still have more blue to it. The real way to test this is to also add a little white, which I'm not going to do now because we're not working with white, but then you really see what's underneath there, you know, if it has a bias. But I'm thinking that looks pretty neutral.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to scream a hue to me.
Yeah.
Because we're putting it right here in the center, we don't want it to have any bias to or dominance or anything.
Looks black
Yeah.
when you get over here.
So now we can
Awesome.
see what's happening, right?
Yeah, they're getting darker as it goes in.
Yeah,
Or
because
losing the brightness.
right, because we're pulling more of the each color is absorbing the rays coming off the other one. Remember our lesson from previous? Now you can see it in action, where the little color balls inside there are absorbing the color that's reflecting off the one next to it.
Okay.
And so when you have all the colors of the rainbow mixed in there, it's absorbing everything. Yep. As we're out here, we're only letting 1 or 2 colors together. But as we get here, if we've got all 6 of them in there, it's just not letting anything out. Anytime you want to neutralize a color, make it less vibrant, you just add the opposite color on the color wheel. So I did yellow and violet. So this is the primary yellow mixed with the secondary violet, the brightest one, and it made this yellow come down. You could also take a bright violet and bring it down towards neutral with yellow.
Okay.
And it's just all about proportions, right? You may not hit black in the middle, honestly, because black means that all 6 are present equally.
Okay.
But as you get closer, I'll take this yellow further down to purple and just show you. This is the neutralized further with purple.
Okay.
It's pretty much no longer yellow.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
a taupe.
Yeah.
Let's do blue-orange. So here's the primary blue, and then this orange was mixed here. So we're gonna mix these 2. You could add more orange and it would come back over this way.
Okay.
Mostly orange and a little blue. See, this is a brown. Here, I'll put it right here.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
really should be over here, but
Yep.
I'm running out of room.
Yeah.
But you don't really need to buy brown, right? If you
Right,
can mix
no.
all of these beautiful
Right.
browns that have different personalities to them.
It really is amazing how many colors you can get just based off of those.
Isn't that fun? This is the primary red we had mixed earlier.
Yeah.
And then this is the secondary green we had mixed earlier.
Okay. So making this one. Okay.
Yep. And yeah, we're making that one there. Yep. You can choose how much you knock back, right? So this is more, I would say, barn red now. So all that's left at this point are to mix the tube colors. On this wheel, they fall across from each other. Now in real life, they maybe don't. So let's just see. So we're gonna take yellow green and mix it with red violet.
Yeah. Wow, that's really neat. And this would be a good thing to have out as we keep going too. That way when we're painting, then we have something to compare to and remind us how to get.
How to get to each, where we want
Right,
to go, like
right.
a little roadmap for us.
Right.
And don't forget to date and sign your color wheels. Somewhere in the corner, something like that. Just to recap what we learned today. Actually, you may not realize what you learned because you were playing with color, but there's always learning to do in playing. So you learned about hue, H-U-E, which is where something falls around the outside of the color wheel. What is the color name of that hue? So it might be in the yellow family, or the red-orange family, or the violet family. That's the hue. Then you also learned about saturation. And saturation is the brightness or dullness of a color. And as you move to the outside of really saturated, and as you move to the center, you'll get more and more neutralized, desaturated, dull, all those words
Okay.
kind of mean the
Yes.
same thing. So,
Okay.
and you can use that opposite color to pull it there.
Okay.
And yeah, if you have any questions or you have issues with making your color wheel, please comment below and I'll try and help as much as I can from a distance. In order to mix the exact color, you need to know 4 things and go through the steps, 4 different steps.
Okay.
So the first step when you're looking for that exact color is hue,
Okay.
and then saturation,
Mhm.
and then value,
Okay.
and then temperature.
Okay.
Be sure to subscribe if you want to get the future videos, if you haven't already. And if you have found value to this video today, please hit like.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, bye.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, Watson, what do you say to everybody? Goodbye. Okay, bye-bye.